Very good morning to all of you. In the previous class, we have studied about the electrostatics of conductors and the polarization of dielectrics. So there were two types of polarization methods for the dielectrics that we have discussed. One for the polar dielectrics and another one for the non-polar dielectrics. In this class, we will be learning something about the capacitor. It's a new term to you. So this is something that will be introduced to you people in this class only. You have not studied it somewhere else. And we will be discussing about the capacitance, so what it will be. And then we need to find the substance of a parallel plate capacitor that will be in our syllabus. So there are different kind of capacitors actually, but this parallel plate capacitor is only in our syllabus. Others are not there in your syllabus. And then after finding out the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor, we will find out the effect of dielectrics on its capacitance. So let's start and begin with the definition of capacitor. Capacitor, it is a passive electronic device, or you can say it's a passive electronic component that is used to hold or store the charge in an electric circuit. So you must have seen something like this in electric circuits. They may be cylindrical shaped or they may be spherical in shape like this. So these are something that we know as capacitors. All right, and their job is to store the charge or hold the charge in an electric circuit. If you open up some electric circuit, maybe a tape recorder or maybe some other electronic component. So in that electronic devices, you will be finding a lot of capacitors. So this is one cylindrical type capacitor you can see in blue color, and this is we call it as paper plate capacitor. Sometimes paper capacitor we call it like this. And there are also some variable capacitors. You can see that this one is a variable capacitor. So its capacitance we can vary, like just like a variable resistor. So we can change up the capacitance according to our need. So now let's move towards that. What is a capacitance? What is capacitance? So the ability of a capacitor to store the charge is known as its capacitance. That how much charge a capacitor can store, that capacity or ability is known as its capacitance. If more the charge storage capacity is there, then more will be the capacitance. If less charge storage capacity is there, then less will be the capacitance. But mathematically, we will be defining it in some another way. So this is the physical definition of capacitance, that it is the ability of a capacitor to store the charge. If we give Q amount of charge to a conductor, naturally, when we supply up the charge to a conductor, its potential will change. And the change in the potential, it depends on the size and the shape of the conductor, because how much charge a conductor can store, that depends on its shape and size. Just like a water tank, the capacity of a water tank to store water, it depends on its shape and size. Similarly, the capacity of a conductor to store the charge, it depends on its shape and size. All right. So if we are supplying a charge small q to a conductor and that changes its potential by capital V, then we can say this thing that this q is directly proportional to V, because when we have given this charge q to the conductor, its potential gets changed by voltage V. If we are giving more charge, then this voltage change will be more. So we can write it like this, that q is directly proportional to V. All right. So more the amount of charge you are giving and more the charge be stored on a conductor, more will be the change in its voltage or potential. So they are directly proportional. When we remove this proportionality sign, there will be one constant, and that constant is known as capacitance, that is denoted by capital C. And from this, you can write it like this, that C is equal to Q by V. So this is the formula for capacitance. So you can define it like this, that the capacitance of a conductor is the ratio of the charge given to the conductor to the potential developed in the conductor. So if you are giving Q amount of charge and that is causing a potential of V, then the ratio of Q to V will give you a quantity that is known as capacitance of that conductor. All right. And this capacitance, it is having a unit. We know how to measure up the things. We need some unit. For this capacitance, we need the unit is farad. So named after Michael Faraday, a very great scientist in physics. So in order to honor him, the unit of capacitance is named after his name, that is farad. And this farad is very big unit of capacitance. Generally, we are not using this much unit in practical scenario. We'll be using microfarad or picofarad. And how much big this will be, I'll be telling you the fact about it when we'll be discussing about the parallel plate capacitor. So this is quite large unit. We generally don't have the capacitors that are having capacitance as 1 farad. Very large unit actually it is. So we have generally the capacitors which are having capacitances in microfarad or picofarad when we are using them in the electric circuit. All right. So these kind of capacitors which are very small in size, they generally are of capacitance value microfarad or picofarad. All right. So let's define what farad is. Let's define that how we can write the definition for this farad. Let's see this thing. Definition of 1 farad. It comes like this, that 1 farad is equal to 1 coulomb upon 1 volt, because C is equal to Q by V. Q is measured in coulomb, V is measured in volts. So 1 farad, it becomes equal to 1 coulomb upon 1 volt. So a conductor is said to be having a capacitance of 1 farad if a charge of 1 coulomb given to it changes its potential by 1 volt. So if you are giving 1 coulomb charge to a conductor, and because of that 1 coulomb charge, the potential of the conductor gets risen by 1 volt, we can say that the capacitance of this conductor is 1 farad. All right, very simple to explain this thing. And I've told you this thing that farad is quite large unit. So we are generally not using the capacitors which are having such large unit, because the construction will be very, very cumbersome. So, and also there is no use to hold that much amount of charge in electric circuit. What we are doing, we are using the capacitors which are having a capacity or the capacitance of microfarad or picofarad, and we all know the conversion. 1 microfarad will be equal to 10 to the power minus 6 farad, and 1 picofarad will be equal to 10 to the power minus 12 farad. All right. Now let's go to the symbol. Just like the resistors, they are having symbols. Similarly, the capacitor also have a symbol. So a fixed value of capacitor, if the value of the capacitor is fixed, then it is denoted by this symbol. All right. So 2 plates, they are separated by some distance, and one will be positive, other one will be negative. We'll be seeing it. All right. Similarly, if a capacitor is variable in nature, just like a rheostat in case of resistor, that are the variable resistances, we use the symbol. All right, symbol with an arrow in between. Similarly, similar is the case with the resistors also. When we used to draw the resistor, and resistors is quite simply been drawn with the symbol, and when we used to draw the variable resistor or the rheostat, use the symbol, the arrow in between. All right, so these symbols we need to keep in mind, because we'll be using them very frequently in our discussion. This is for the fixed capacitor, and this is for the variable capacitor. All right. Now let's quickly study about the parallel plate capacitor, and this is in our syllabus. Actually, there are a lot kind of capacitors are there. Spherical capacitor is there, cylindrical capacitor is there. All right, but in our syllabus we are having only parallel plate capacitor. So we will be discussing in detail about this parallel plate capacitor. We need to derive a formula for its capacitance also, that on what factor the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor depends, and also we need to find the effect of dielectric in this parallel plate capacitor. So that derivation we need to do. So two very important derivations are coming. So please pay attention. So the parallel plate capacitor can be defined like this: 2 large plain parallel conducting plates separated by small distance make a parallel plate capacitor. All right, so you can see like this. If these are 2 large conducting plates, and if you separate 2 large conducting plates by small distance, then they will make a parallel plate capacitor. All right. So this plate is having area A. Both the plates, they are having area A, and the surface charge density for this plate is plus sigma, because it will be holding plus charge, and the surface charge density for the plate second will be minus sigma. So this is a parallel plate capacitor. If someone asks you what is a parallel plate capacitor, you generally just have to say this thing, that 2 plain conducting plates separated by a small distance, they will make a parallel plate capacitor. All right. And in between, in this case, we are having only vacuum. But there may be some medium also. We'll be discussing about it, that what happens if we insert some medium in between the plates. But for the very basic case, we are having only the vacuum in between the plates. All right, so nothing is there in between the plates, only vacuum is there. And we need to find the formula for the capacitance of this parallel plate capacitor. So let's try to do that. So you can see this derivation of capacitance for a parallel plate capacitor. All right. Let's consider that we are having a parallel plate capacitor, and the area of the plates of this parallel plate capacitor is capital A. And the charges that are present on these plates will be plus Q and minus Q. So one plate is having a surface charge density plus sigma, so naturally it will be having plus Q charge. That's the total amount of charge present on this plate. Similarly, minus Q is the total amount of charge present on plate second, and its surface charge density is minus sigma. All right. We all know the electric field will exist between the plates, because electric field will always be directed from the positive charge towards the negative charge. So this is positively charged plate. So it will be having the electric field lines coming out of it, and they will be going towards the negatively charged plate. We have studied this in our chapter number 1. Now, we need to find the value of this electric field that is existing in between the plates. And please try to recall the second application of the Gauss's law. In the second application of the Gauss's law, we have studied this, that two plates which are having equal and opposite charge density, the electric field in between them can be calculated by this formula. You can say it like this. The electric field, because of this plate in between, I'm talking about the electric field in between. All right, we know this thing, that the electric field outside the plate will be 0. Why so? We have done that. We have done this case that two equal and oppositely charged plates will be having the electric field as sigma upon 2 epsilon naught plus sigma upon 2 epsilon naught in between them, and outside the plates the electric field comes out to be 0. I have also given you 3-4 examples and very well demonstration of the same. Please go to that lecture if you are having some problem, and still if you are not able to understand, you can contact me always. Okay, so the electric field in between the plates, it will be from this plate, it will be directed in this direction, that is towards the negative plate, and with this, for this plate, it will be again directed towards the negative plate only, because electric field lines will always come towards the negative plate. That's why both the electric fields get added up, and we know the formula for the electric field, because of a plane conducting plate, it is given by sigma upon 2 epsilon naught. So we'll be adding them up, sigma upon 2 epsilon naught plus sigma upon 2 epsilon naught, and it comes out to be sigma upon epsilon naught. All right, so this is the value of the electric field in between the plates. All right, so this is my equation number 1. Now, electric field in between the plates 1 and 2, it can also be given in terms of potential difference V. So if V is the potential difference between these two plates, let me write it for you. So because of the charge that is present on these plates, there must be some potential difference between these plates. So if V is the potential difference value, then we can easily say this thing. So this V is the potential difference between these two plates. We can say that this V electric field, this E electric field is acting between these two plates over a distance D, where D is the separation between the plates. All right. So D is the separation between these two plates. So the distance between these two plates is nothing, but it is D. So I forgot to mention it earlier. Please mark it. The distance between these two plates, they are separated by a distance D. All right. So you can write it like this. Let me mark it for you. The distance between the plates is small d. So this distance between the plates is small d. Please mark it. All right. Now we are good. this distance between the plates is small t. All right. Now, this voltage V, it is acting over a distance d. And we know that relation between the electric field and the potential difference is E is equal to V by D. From the potential gradient formula, if dV was the potential difference over a distance dx, we have written the value of electric field as dV over dx. Similarly, in this case, capital V is the potential difference between these two plates and it is acting over a distance d. So we can say this, that the electric field is the potential difference divided by the distance. 1 unit of electric field is volt per meter and it comes out from this formula. So if V is the potential difference over a distance of d, then E will become equal to V by D. All right. Now we have found two formula for our electric field. One is V by D and other one is sigma upon epsilon naught. That was the equation number 1. So from these two equations, we can say that sigma upon epsilon naught, it is equal to V by D. I hope I'm very much clear over here. Still, if you are having some doubts, you can easily be writing it in the chat box. Now, the value of the sigma is Q by A. We know sigma is surface charge density and that is equal to Q by A. So we can write it like this. In place of the sigma, I have written Q by A and that is epsilon naught was intact from the previous equation, that is equal to V by D. Now, our job is to find the capacitance for this parallel plate capacitor. And we know this capacitance, it is equal to the ratio of charge to the voltage. So what we have to do, we have to take this V in the denominator of this charge Q and all other terms to this side. So let's do that. Q upon V, it comes out to be A epsilon naught by D. All right. Just cross multiply it. This A epsilon naught, it will go into the numerator of this term and this V will come into the denominator of this term. And we know this, that this ratio, that is the charge given to a conductor divided by the potential difference developed across it is equal to the capacitance of that conductor. So for this parallel plate capacitor, the value of capacitance has come out to be C equal to epsilon naught A by D. All right. So this is what we have found out from our discussion. Sometimes in some books, they write it like C naught. All right. They write it like C naught. C naught, it means this thing that it is the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor when no medium was present other than the vacuum in between the plates. All right. So this is the case when only vacuum was present in between the plates of the parallel plate capacitor. If some other medium was present over here, then the case would be different. I hope this derivation is quite clear to you. So you can see that this is the expression of a capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor with vacuum in between the plates. So please write it like this, that with vacuum in between the plates. All right. So it is for with vacuum in between the plates. Let me write it for you. It's fine now. Okay. So this is the substance of a parallel plate capacitor with vacuum in between the plates. All right. You can see it. I hope it is quite clear. And still, if you are having some doubt, please ask me. I'm stopping a bit, and then we'll be doing the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor when we have inserted some dielectric slab in between the plates of the capacitor. So that we'll be doing just now. If still you are having some doubt in this one, you can ask me. So this formula you have to remember, and we will be using it later on when we'll be discussing the next topic. And it's a really very useful formula in order to calculate the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. And you can see this thing that this capacitor, it depends on the physical dimensions of the parallel plate capacitor. That is the area of the plate and the distance of separation between the plates. As well as it also depends on the medium between the plates, because this epsilon naught is the quantity which signifies the medium. And in this case, it is vacuum. All right. Now, we have to go through one another topic, that is the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor when dielectric is inserted in between the plates. Before that, you can look at the spec. I was telling you this thing that 1 farad is very large unit of capacitance, and in order to have a capacitor of 1 farad, the area of the plates will be 10 to the power 9 meter square. That is, you have to get a parallel plate equal to 30 kilometer in length and 30 kilometer in breadth, and they are separated by 1 centimeter distance. All right. So 1 farad is that much large quantity of capacitance that in order to make a parallel plate capacitor that can have a capacitance of 1 farad, you have to get the plates as 30 kilometer in length and 30 kilometer in breadth, separated by 1 centimeter distance, and that is quite large. We know this, it's not practically possible to have that much large plates. All right, so that's why it is not being practically used, because the dimensions of the capacitor will increase. For a capacitor to have 1 farad capacitance, the dimensions of the capacitors will be very, very large. All right, so this fact, just for a fact, I have told you, no one is going to ask me in the exams or something, but you have to keep this thing in mind, that how much large this 1 farad unit is. That's why we are using microfarad or picofarad during the question. Now, moving towards the next topic, the effect of dielectric on capacitance. All right, so let's consider this thing, that we are having a parallel plate capacitor with 2 conducting plates X and Y, each of area A separated by a small distance d. All right, and X is given a positive charge, so that the surface charge density on it is plus sigma, and Y is giving a negative charge, so that the surface charge density on it is minus sigma. So this is our parallel plate capacitor. All right, 2 parallel plates are there, and they are having a distance d between them, and earlier we are having only air in between the plates. Plus sigma is the surface charge density for this plate X, and minus sigma is the surface charge density for this plate Y. Now, let us consider this thing, that we have inserted a dielectric slab of thickness small t, such that this t is less than d. It means it is inserted somewhere in between. All right, the thickness of the plate that we are inserting is less than this separation distance between the plates, so that our plate will be inserted somewhere in between, and the dielectric constant for the dielectric slab that we are inserting is epsilon r. All right, relative permittivity or the dielectric constant, they are the same thing. So that's why if you are inserting it, the dielectric slab of thickness t in between the plates, the permittivity is epsilon r. All right, so this is how what we have done. We have inserted a dielectric slab of thickness small t in between the plates. So we need to find the capacitance of this capacitor now. Earlier, we were having only air in between the plates, but now we have inserted one dielectric slab in between the plates. The area of this dielectric slab is similar to the area of the plates of the parallel plate capacitor. Only the thickness is different. All right, so that's what we have done. Now, thickness of the dielectric slab is small t, and it means that the dielectric slab is present in small t distance, and in other than small t distance only air is present. So air is over here and air is over here. So we can say this, that thickness of the air gap is b minus t, because in t distance dielectric slab is inserted, so only air remains in d minus t distance. I hope it's clear. Earlier in the complete d distance air was there, but now in this t distance, over the t distance, you have inserted a dielectric slab. All right, that's what you have done. Now, the electric field capital E at every point in the air between the plates. So let us try to find out the electric field that is existing in this air gap, because there will be some different electric field in the dielectric. We know this thing, that inside the dielectric electric field can exist. That's what we have learned in the polarization of the dielectric, that there is, whenever a dielectric is inserted in some external electric field, then there exists some electric field inside the dielectric. In the air, the electric field will be the same as it is for this plates. All right. So from this plate in between the air, in this air gap, there will be some electric field. So first we need to find that electric field at any point in between the plates when air is present only. So you can say it like this, that it is equal to sigma upon epsilon naught. When no dielectric slab was there, the electric field was sigma upon epsilon naught. That's what we have found out in the previous discussion also. Now, the electric field at any point in the dielectric slab. So we need to find the electric field that is existing in this dielectric slab, and that I have mentioned as E dash. And if E dash will be what? Sigma upon epsilon, because now the dielectric constant will be having some another permittivity, that is epsilon. And this epsilon, it can be written in terms of relative permittivity as epsilon r into epsilon naught. All right. Earlier, when we were talking about the electric field because of the place when no dielectric was present, that has come out to be sigma upon epsilon naught. But now when we have inserted the dielectric slab having a thickness T, then there will be the electric field inside the dielectric, and that will be equal to sigma upon epsilon, because now the dielectric is having a permittivity epsilon. Epsilon naught is the permittivity of vacuum. Earlier vacuum was there, we have divided it by vacuum, the permittivity of the vacuum. But now the dielectric material is there, so we need to use the permittivity of dielectric material, and it comes out to be sigma upon epsilon r into epsilon naught. We know this, that epsilon can be written as the product of relative permittivity multiplied by the permittivity of the vacuum. So this is our equation number 2. Now we need to find the electric field by some different formula also. So this was our case. We were having the parallel plate capacitor with a dielectric inserted in this, and the voltage between the plates X and Y is capital V. The separation distance is small d, and T is the distance or the thickness of the dielectric slab that we have inserted. So the total potential difference between the plates is the sum of the product of electric field over a distance d minus t and the field E dash over a distance t. See this, earlier when no dielectric slab was there, we have calculated the potential difference V, that is equal to E into D. That's what we have done. That this potential difference V is equal to electric field that is acting over a distance d. So the electric field was acting over a distance d earlier, that is capital E. And when you multiply the electric field with the distance, you will be getting the potential difference. But now this potential difference will be equal to the sum of two potentials. One is because of the electric field that is acting over the air space, and the second one is the electric field that is acting over a distance small t because of this dielectric, or the electric field that is present in this dielectric, and that electric field E dash, it is acting over T. So I can write it like this, that this V, complete potential difference, it is equal to the electric field that is acting over a distance d minus t. So this E was the electric field that is acting in vacuum or air, and it is acting over a distance d minus t. And E dash is the electric field that is acting in the dielectric slab that is over a distance t. So this potential difference is now the sum of two potentials. One is because of the electric field that is acting in the air, and other one is because of the electric field that is acting in the dielectric slab. The electric field that is acting in air, it is over a distance d minus t. So that's why I've written E into d minus t, that is for the potential because of the electric field that is acting in the air, and E dash is the electric field that is acting in dielectric over a distance t. So E dash multiplied by t is the contribution of the potential by this dielectric. So that is equal to the total potential between these 2 points. I hope it is clear. The product of electric field over a distance which it is acting gives you the potential difference in that distance. So we need to calculate the potential difference between distance x and y. So air is acting over a distance d minus t. So multiply it with the electric field that is acting in air, and E dash is the electric field that is acting over a distance t in the dielectric slab. So in order to get the potential, multiply the electric field with the distance over which it is acting. Now in place of this E and E dash, you can write up the value of E that you have calculated in equation 1 and 2. So if this E is the electric field acting in the air gap, that is equal to sigma upon epsilon naught, and E dash is the electric field that is acting in the dielectric, that is equal to sigma upon epsilon r into epsilon naught. I hope I am clear. Just I have inserted the values of E and E dash that I have calculated in equation number 1 and 2. Now take this common, sigma upon epsilon naught, you can take this common, and it becomes like this, d minus t plus t upon epsilon naught. All right, I've just taken out sigma upon epsilon naught as common. Now we know the sigma is equal to q by a. So in place of this sigma, I can write q by a. All right, because q is equal to sigma a. Surface charge density is charge per unit area. So in place of this sigma, I can write q by a. That's what I have done. In place of this sigma, I have written q by a, and my v becomes equal to q by a epsilon naught d minus t plus t divided by epsilon r, where epsilon r is the relative permittivity of the dielectric slab that we have inserted. All right. Now, in order to find the capacitance, what I need to do is I need to take the ratio of charge and volume. So I need to take this q by v. So make all the other terms to move to other side, and you have to find only q by v. Take this v in the denominator of this q. That will be the capacitance. So you can write it like this: C equal to q by v, that is equal to a epsilon naught. You have just cross multiplied it, and this complete term will go into the denominator. That's why I have written it with power minus 1. I'm explaining it again, that you need to find the ratio of q by v. So just cross multiply it, take this v in the denominator of q and all other terms to the other side. So epsilon naught a will go in this side, and this complete term will go into the denominator of a epsilon naught, and that's why I've written it with power minus 1. So in the next term, I can write it like this. That is, C is equal to epsilon naught a divided by this complete term, that is d minus t plus t by epsilon naught. Okay, so this is the expression for capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor with a dielectric slab of thickness T and relative permittivity epsilon r. All right, so this is what the final formula is. It is the case when the thickness of the dielectric slab is T. All right, and this epsilon r is also known as dielectric constant. So we can replace this epsilon r with K also sometimes. We write it like K. Relative permittivity is epsilon r, and that is also equal to K. That is your dielectric constant. So in case if you are given only dielectric constant, you can write it like K. So this is one alternate formula. You can write it like this, that K is the dielectric constant of the medium of the slab. So it is equal to epsilon naught a divided by d minus t plus t by k. So in place of epsilon r, you can also write this K. They are the same thing. We know this. Relative permittivity, it is equal to the dielectric constant. All right. So this formula will give you the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor when a dielectric slab of thickness small t and dielectric constant K or relative permittivity epsilon r is inserted in between the plates. All right. Now we need to do some more math, and we will also be writing the definition of this K on the basis of capacitors. Earlier we have written 3 definitions for K. One is the ratio of the force in vacuum to the force in medium. All right. And other one is the ratios of the relative permittivities of the medium to the vacuum. And also we have defined it in terms of the ratio of the electric field. Now we will be defining this K in terms of the ratios of the capacitor. So let's see how we're going to do this. If you are having some doubt in this, please ask. I'm stopping a bit and then I'll be taking up your questions. If you are not having any question, then I'll be moving forward. So let's do some extension to this formula and try to find out the relation between the dielectric constant and the capacitances, how we can define the dielectric constant with the help of the capacitances ratio. Let's take that one. So this was the formula that we have derived, that C equal to epsilon naught a divided by d minus t plus t by k, where t is the thickness of the dielectric slab that is inserted in between the plates, and K is the dielectric constant. Now, what happens if you completely fill the space between the plates with the dielectric? That means this D becomes equal to T. All right, if you completely fill the space in between the plates with the dielectric, then this complete D, your distance between the plates, that is equal to T. All right, when the space between the plates is completely filled by the dielectric slab, and T is equal to D. So just put T equal to D over here. You can write it like this: epsilon naught A, D minus D is 0. And in place of this T, you can write D. This K will go into the numerator. So you are left with this. C is equal to K epsilon naught A by D. All right. And this epsilon naught A by D was the formula for the capacitance of the parallel plate capacitor when vacuum was there in between the plates. I'm talking about only this epsilon naught A by D. You can just see it your copies. This epsilon naught A by D was the capacitance of the parallel plate capacitor when no dielectric slab was inserted in between the plates. So you can write it like this also, where C naught is the equal to the capacitance of the capacitor with vacuum in between the plates. All right. So this epsilon naught A by D can be written as C naught, and C becomes equal to K times of C naught. So you can say that if you completely fill the space between the plates of the parallel plate capacitor by a dielectric having a dielectric constant K, then its capacitance will be increased K times. All right. So in this case, it is increased K times. You can see that C is equal to K times C naught. So the capacitance with the dielectric slab in between is K times the capacitance with vacuum in between the plates. You can see this. All right. And please have a note of this thing, that when a dielectric slab or a conducting slab is inserted in between the plates, the capacitance of the capacitor always increases. All right. So if you insert a dielectric slab or you insert a conducting slab, so even if you insert some metal in between the plates of the parallel plate capacitor, then also the capacitance will increase. All right. So always it will increase. It do not depend whether it is dielectric or conducting slab. But in case of dielectric, it increases more. In case of conducting slab, it increases less. All right. Fine. So it will always be increased up. Practically, if you insert a conducting slab completely, then the capacitance becomes infinite, because for a conducting slab, the value of this dielectric constant is almost infinity. Okay, very high value. So that's why we cannot have such type of capacitor. So capacitance action will be lost in that case. Generally, we insert a dielectric. So dielectric is something that is non-conducting. We know this, like a paper or a glass. All right. So that's what we insert in between. Now, these are the two formula that we have derived: C equal to K times epsilon naught A by D, and that is the case when the space between the plates is completely filled with the help of a dielectric having dielectric constant K. So the formula for capacitance is becomes K into C naught, where C naught is the capacitance of the parallel plate capacitor when only vacuum was between the plates. So from this formula, you can write it like this, that K is equal to C upon C naught. All right. And now you can define the dielectric constant in terms of the capacitance ratio. So you can write it like this, that this is the alternate expression for dielectric constant K. Earlier in our chapter 1, we have studied 3 expressions. This is the 4th one. Okay. So you can define the dielectric constant in either of the 4 ways. You can define it like this. The dielectric constant can also be defined as the ratio of the capacitance of the capacitor when medium in between the plates, that is C, when some medium is in between the plates, that is C, to the capacitance with vacuum in between the plates, that is C naught. Okay, so C by C naught is the dielectric constant. All right, so this is all that I want to discuss for today. You have to solve a lot of questions on this one, so I'll be giving you a lot of practice for that also, because it is really very important to have a concept of this thing, that how the dielectric is affecting the capacitance of a capacitor and how you're going to proceed in the numericals. So I'll be sharing some of the questions in the worksheet. So please try to solve them up. And there were a lot of questions. Always in board, there are some questions based on these concepts that we have studied today. So please go through this thoroughly. And if you are having some doubt, I'm there to express it up and explain it up to you, that whatever be the doubts that you are having. So thank you very much for joining the class. And if you are having some doubt, you can post up your questions in the chat, or you can even raise your hand so that I'll be unmuting you. Thanks a lot for joining. We'll see you soon with some other classes. Thanks.